Hello! Alright, buckle in y'all, cause we got a long one. First, I just wanted to show you some of the new stuff that I got from Guyries right before I filmed this. I got a couple new brushes, as well as a thing to draw circles, a giant circles inking template, and a new ruler. Since I had messed up my old ruler, although I did realize that this ruler doesn't fit into my bullet journal, so I do want to get one that's a little bit more compact. Alright, so this month we are doing a theme based on this gorgeous enamel pin done by my friends, the Atomic Pixies. I have links to their website as well as to this specific pin in the box below. So I started off by just finding some markers that would match the colors on the pin using my pen test page so that I saw how they looked in my bullet journal. And something that I want to talk about as well is on this pin there is very obviously a cow being abducted, but for the longest time when I had this pin I thought it was a cat. So when I first came up with this idea, I was really excited. I was like, I'm gonna draw purple cats, I'm gonna draw aliens, it's gonna be great. And then I looked a little closer at the pin and I was like, that is a cow. But I decided to go with purple cats anyways, and I know the Pixies won't be mad because I know they love cats, so you know what? I just wanted to have aliens abducting cats. That's where I went. I started off with a watercolor painting. I got this hot pressed Arches paper that I wanted to try out. I've used their cold press before, but hot press is smoother than cold press and I wanted to test it out. So I had some difficulties making the gradients that I wanted, and I used a mix of my Koi watercolors as well as my Paul Rubens watercolors. Really the only color from the Paul Rubens set I used was the red, which I don't remember the name for that color, but it dilutes into like a really nice pink. I didn't want to exactly copy the pin for my cover page, so instead of adding all the colors and elements through that, I tried to keep the whole color scheme, but instead do it kind of like a sunset behind the UFO, and I added some trees and bushes to incorporate that green in there as well. I really love how distinct their UFO is. I love the designs on it. They could be like little windows for aliens to look out of. They could be lights. I don't know, but I love them. And then I drew this funky looking out of proportion cat. Kind of looks like a fox. I don't know, y'all. It's a purple cat. It's getting abducted by aliens. It's fine. So I tried to give it a poofy tail because I have a cat who, whenever she gets startled, her tail gets poofed. So even though this cat isn't a super long-haired cat, I wanted to give it that spooked poofy tail. And then I used my, I think they're called Zephyr? No, they're Zeyar. Zeyar? I don't know how to say it. I used my metallic paint markers for the UFO. I used specifically the silver one, and then I used the white one later to add some stars, as well as some jelly roll pens. I wanted some trees kind of off in the distance that were kind of being highlighted by this yellow beam from the UFO, so I made sure that I painted all of that first and then laid the yellow on top of it. I did do the yellow a little thick, so it's not as transparent. You can't really see the gradient behind it, but it's fine. I didn't want it to be super noticeable anyways, so I'm kind of fine with it just being yellow right there. One thing that I didn't do on this painting that I usually do is write the name of the month. I couldn't decide if I wanted to try and write it on the UFO or if I wanted to try and write it underneath the cat. So I just opted to not. I mean, I know what month it's for, so I don't really need to write it on it. And then I spent a long time adding stars with my gel pen. I did white and silver stars. I also wanted to kind of even out the tractor beam part because it was a little wonky, so I used the white Zeyar paint pen to do that. I had a lot of fun making this. It's just kind of silly. It was fun having kind of a spacey sunset in the background, and it was fun trying to match those colors from the pin. So then I started on my quote page, which says, "Believe in yourself and aliens." This is not a unique quote by any means. I found it on Pinterest when I was just kind of searching for other inspiration and looking for fun quotes and whatnot, and I thought it was cute. I also found the font that I used for aliens, and I use it for all of my headers this month, is a font that I found on Pinterest, and I will link my Pinterest board below so you can go see the original. And yeah, I just kind of followed that to make it a little bit more interesting. I also made it so my painting didn't have white borders this month, which is something that I haven't really done before. And I also played with masking fluid for the eyes of the alien on the left page. Unfortunately, the masking fluid kind of stuck to the paper. It was weird. I don't know. I might have glopped it on too much. I did put a lot on there. I haven't used masking fluid a whole lot. It's something that I think I've only used it once before, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend using it in the Lemome journal from my one experience. I also mostly used, even though I went through all that trying to find the right pens to match, I really only used watercolor this month. I already had the paints mixed up. I didn't see a point in wasting them, and I really wanted everything to be kind of matchy-matchy, so I just did that. I was also really interested to see how the Lemome notebook held up to watercolors because it is a thicker paper. So I was hoping that it would hold up a little bit better than my minimalism art journal. I think it did okay. There were some times that I definitely put too much water on the paper and it soaked up a little bit more than I meant it to, but what are you gonna do? It's life. And I really like the texture that you get from using watercolor and scrapbooking in your bullet journal. I love to see how thick and fat my journal gets. So I don't have a problem with that. If you have a problem with your paper warping, you know, using watercolor on not watercolor paper is probably not the best idea. For my calendar page, I made, I think these boxes were 6 by 7. I just wanted them to fit well onto the page. And I started my month on Sunday this month because that's the day the month starts on. Usually, or lately I guess, I've been starting it on Monday, but I don't know, I switch back and forth. I live in the US, so I am used to it starting on Sunday, but I always start my weeklies on Monday because that's when I feel like the week starts. So I don't know. We'll see what I decide to do next month. And then I just did a quick little doodle of the spaceship again. I didn't fill it in. I wanted it to be really simple, and since I did the days of the week in that same metallic jelly roll color, I couldn't really fill it in because then Saturday would have just been gone. And then I wanted to make this little cat painting in the corner. It's a 3-eyed cat and I love it. It's adorable. I want to draw more 3-eyed cats. So there's just a little purple alien cat in the corner, just a little watercolor. I'm trying to get better at painting animals, and just I wanted to go really extra for this spread for some reason. Even though there's not like a ton of doodles and decorations, it took me a long time to do this spread just because I wanted to do the pin justice and I wanted to really get creative and be silly within this. I'm a fan of, you know, aliens and sci-fi, and so this is right up my alley. And then for my mood tracker, I initially was like, oh, maybe I'll draw a bunch of UFOs or aliens. And then I was like, that seems like a lot to draw 30 little UFOs and alien heads. And I didn't want to do it. So instead, I just copied the pin, except it's a cat instead of a cow. Although you can barely tell with that jelly roll is fat, and it is hard to get little details with it because it's fat and juicy. So my cat's just a little blob, but it's okay. I love it anyways. Little fluffy blob. So this is just the design of the pin, and I put numbers in each of the little sections. So it's basically like a paint by color by number page, coloring book page that I can fill in with my moods each day. And I made 6 moods, so like super happy, happy, meh, sad, angry. And then I also, well, I guess that's 5 moods. And then I made another box after this for days that I don't track, because I still want it to be all colored in, even if I don't track every day. And I notoriously am bad at tracking every day. But I am going to try to be better about it this month because it is important, as you will see when we get to the next page. So for my habits page, this is the same as I do every month. Usually do a header and then just write the numbers and days of the week down the side. Really boring. And then I write my habits. I actually went back and wrote my habits in after because I wasn't sure which habits I wanted to include this month. So this is a new spread. I tried it out last month. I did it partway through the month. That's why it wasn't a part of any of my videos. But it is a symptoms tracker. So I found some ideas online from different blogs and Pinterest pages and whatnot. And I decided to do, so I've got two little graphs up top that go from 0 to 5. The top one is for pain, the middle one is for fatigue, and then the third one down has a list of symptoms that I have experienced in the past. And then the last box is for medication, if I've taken any Excedrin or anything. I just want to be able to keep track of that as well to see if there are any kind of interacting factors. I am doing a elimination diet this month, so I think it's really important to keep track of all these things, especially this month. And then my key goes from severe to moderate to mild to none, and I also put a X for didn't track because I don't want to think that I had none of a certain thing when the reality is that I just didn't track that day. So moving on to my monthly to-do page, I decided to add a video planner after last month. I thought it was really helpful to have a specific space to plan out my videos, at least for the month, if not for the next month as well. And then having a full page for the brain dump was great too. So I used my number 4 Magic Touches brush, watercolor brush, just to make this little simple galaxy painting. All I did was used purple, red, and orange to make these kind of cloudy effects, and then my hairdryer to just make it dry faster because I'm impatient. And then I added a little alien head poking up over the middle of the left page, just being a little creeper saying hello. And then I added a tiny little UFO as well as silver and white stars to kind of point home that it's a little galaxy nebula thing. I also didn't make specific days for this spread. I just wasn't feeling it. I feel like I'll kind of add days as I need them, and I like having the open space a little bit better. And that's it. Oh, no, it's not. Tricked myself. So I also added in some watercolor background to these headers. They were just looking a little boring. There's just not a lot of stuff going on in these pages, not a lot of color. So instead of adding a bunch more doodling, I thought it would be faster and easier just to do some watercolor. And here is the final flip through. I think this spread turned out really cute. It was really fun. I'm excited for my next weekly. I'm probably just gonna draw a big giant purple cat face because that'll be fun. And yeah, I like that I left a lot of open space in these spreads because I can always go back and add more doodles if I feel like doodling and I don't have my sketchbook. It's fun to just add stuff in. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, props, and bye. I'll see you next time.